Alright, so today I'm going to show you how I clean my fish tank, give you a few tips. And this is the fish tank that I use for aquaponics. I did have tilapia, I got rid of those. Right now I'm not currently using it for aquaponics, but I will be in the future, so pay attention how I take care of the chlorine to make it safe for plants that would be growing in this water, as well as if you're growing fish that you'd be eating as well. So here we go. As you can see, there's a good amount of algae in there. I have a black ghost knife that I feed a lot of frozen foods to, a lot of meaty foods. So we're getting a lot of nitrogen buildup. You need to get rid of all that algae. Alright, so what you need to do is get a 5-gallon bucket or so, get a razor blade, and get a hose. And I took the end off that's for cleaning the gravel, the wider plastic cylinder on there, and I'll show you why in a minute. So basically what I like to do is I like to take the razor blade, put it on one side of the hose, and I'll scrape the algae. As I do that, this hose is going to be drawing water down into the bucket and sucking that algae up so it doesn't go into the fish tank. So that's the one little tip. The other tip, I've seen a lot of people where they are sucking on the end of the hose here to get the water started. You do not need to do that. Basically what you want to do is you want to put the entire hose in the water, make sure you're not getting any air bubbles in there. Get all the air out, hold your thumb over the one end, pull it out and down into your bucket. That'll get the suction started. Grab our razor blade, put it right in front of the hose, and just start scraping across. I don't have a ton of algae, so it's probably a little bit difficult to see, but as you scrape across, the algae is coming off the glass, and for the most part going inside that hose there, so you're going to have a lot less cleanup after you scrape this. So again, we're going to go ahead and just do the whole fish tank here. Be very careful about getting close to your silicone in the corners. And I'll show you how we clean that up after we're done with this part here. So I'm going to get this cleaned up, and then I'm going to show you the next step. So here's inside the bucket what we just got out. So we got a good amount of algae out of there. This I'm going to go dump on the plants outside, some of the garden plants, not let this go to waste. Then I'm going to wipe up the rest of the tank, clean up the rest of the algae, and I'll show you that here next. Alright, so now I'm just going around the tank here, cleaning off the rest of the algae. And all I have here is it's just a filter pad, reusable filter pad. And this actually does a remarkable job as far as getting the algae off without scraping or scratching the glass, I should say. You can be fairly rough in the corners. I wouldn't go so rough that you are tearing out the silicone, but you're going to get a good amount of algae off with this. We're just going to go around the whole tank here, and we'll fill it up with some dechlorinated water in a minute. Then normally what I do with this filter pad after I wipe down all the sides, and you see you've got all this algae in here, I normally would dip it in the bucket of water that I just siphoned out. I'd get as much of this out and then just reuse this again next time. The other thing I'd also do, and this I think is a pretty good tip, I'd take the filter pads out of my back filter. I rinse those off pretty well in there and just put them back in. At least if you want to reuse the filter pads. If you're changing, of course, you don't need to do that, but a lot of times I just reuse the same one, keep the bacteria on that, and go from there. Alright, so I'm back with a 5-gallon bucket of water here. A lot of times I'm going to use reverse osmosis because I have it handy and I've got real high hardness here and I need to buffer that pH down so I don't do tap water. But if you do tap water, I would use a vitamin C to neutralize it. If you look at some of the commercial products, they'll say not for food fish use. So I'm just assuming, I don't know for sure, but if you're growing plants as well in an aquaponics unit, that may not be safe for them as well. Vitamin C is going to be completely harmless, and at the levels that you use for dechlorinating tap water, it's harmless to the fish as far as no toxic effects to them. There's a little debate on how much you need to use, but I think that really is centering around how much is in your city water supply as far as the chlorines, chloramines, that sort of thing. In general, I would just say, and at least this worked for me, was about 1 gram of vitamin C ascorbic acid, and there is another form as well, I can't remember what it's called, if it's sodium ascorbate or something like that, but as far as ascorbic acid, roughly 1 gram of that can neutralize about 100 gallons of water on average. But again, I would do a test with your fish and your tank just to make sure. It can add a little bit of acidity to the tank, but again, if you've got hardness in there, that's going to be buffered and you shouldn't have much of a problem, especially at the level that you're using for neutralizing. They do use vitamin C in aquaculture, and they're going to use that at twice that amount, if I understand it correctly, for injured fish and other external uses. So it should be safe for your fish, as long as you don't go more than that 1 gram per 100 gallons. If I understand it right, they use about 1 gram for 53 gallons. It ended up being something like that. I'd have to do the math again, but it was somewhere around there. So go ahead and use that so that your water is safe, so you don't have to worry about contaminating your plants, your fish, or anything like that. But again, do pH testing, chlorine testing if you can, and take it from there. So I think you'll have good success if you follow some of those tips. Alright, good luck guys. And again, if you could like or subscribe or leave a comment, anything like that would be great. If you have any tips for me, put them in the comments as well. I'd appreciate it. Alright, thank you much guys. Take care.